Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So, I've already recorded this before, but I've decided to scrap it because it turned into too much of a long ramble, but that is indicative, perhaps, of how much I do care about this subject. So today I'm going to be talking about patch 6.1, and my, I think, rather extreme worries for it. Well, maybe extreme's not the word, but I'm definitely quite worried. So, you've probably heard in a lot of my coverage for this patch that I've said, so here's some content here, it's not that much, but there is some data mine stuff about the Iron Docks, so we'll have to wait and see as to what that is. Now, it is first very important that I say that the Iron Dock stuff was not officially announced by Blizzard. It was data mined by MMO Champion, and that's why we think it's a thing. That, and the fact that when I, on the PTR, went to the Iron Docks, they did, in the very early stages, add in two little bases, one for the Horde, one for the Alliance, and they haven't actually done anything with them since. So that, in combination with just what I would expect in terms of a World of Warcraft patch as far as content goes, led me to think that it was worth holding off judgment until we got some solid information about the final content of patch 6.1. Well, we've actually got two things that have been said to us. So first of all, on the official Warcraft devs Twitter account, they said that the Garrison campaign will not continue in patch 6.1, and it will instead continue in patch 6.2. So that precludes any, notion of the Iron Dock stuff being a part of the Garrison campaign in 6.1. Also, Zorbix, who is basically the main guy when it comes to updates about the PTR, said that the PTR is now in the polish phase, where they just want to iron out bugs, fix crashes, and various things like that. So essentially, content complete is what I'm taking from that. Now, because of all of these things combined, and the fact that Blizzard have still not said anything about the Iron Docks in an official capacity, I've got to assume that the version of patch 6.1 that we will get is the one that is A, on the PTR, and B, the one that they themselves have been talking about. Which is fair enough, so we're not going to be judging them based on failing delivering the Iron Docks, we're going to be judging them based on what they've actually said and what we pretty much know is going to be here in the patch. Now, I've got to assume the patch is going to be coming out quite soon. As Zorbix said, we are in the polish phase of the beta build, or the alpha builds. Not beta, not alpha, PTR. Yeah, we're in the polish phase, they're just fixing it up and getting it ready to ship. So, with all of that said, I am really damn worried about what's going on in this patch. I don't think it's nearly got enough content for people. Now, to, I suppose, demonstrate that, what we're going to do is take a little bit of a trip down the PTR patch notes. So, let's just quickly jump into that. Right, new character models, Blood Elves, that's fine. Is that new content that you can log in and play? No, not really, it's not a new thing to do. Twitter integration, I'm sorry, but that is not gameplay. The new Heirloom Collection tab, that was promised for patch 6.0, guys, I know you let it slip, but it's just adding in a system that was removed. Yes, it has been refined and improved, but is that new content? I don't really think so. I mean, sure, there's the new chauffeured Mechano Hog mount, and it might inspire some people to go and level up, but leveling up is through old content, right? That's not a new thing that I think you can really do, especially since the heirlooms, for the most part, are just purchased using gold. So that's really not that much of a thing. Now then, let's move on to the new content that is actually content. So there are 5 new daily quests that are being added. One of these quests will appear in your garrison per day, so it might take a full week for it to actually cycle between all of them. Now, the very first quest is to defeat a dungeon boss. Again, we've kind of been doing that since patch 6.0. Yes, that's a new reward, but is that a new bit of... is that changing what we're doing? Not really. It's not a new thing. The next quest is to defeat a raid boss, which is already based on content that we have. So is that going out and defeating a new bit of content? No, it's defeating a raid boss, which, let's be honest, if you are able to defeat a raid boss, it's something you will be doing on a weekly basis anyway. I struggle to see how that is really a new and exciting bit of content. So that's a bit of a pity. Okay, maybe it'll get better. The next quest is the bounty quests. These are actually pretty cool. So you need to defeat a named elite NPC that's designed for up to 3 people to fight. Well, around 3 people, 3 or more. And that's pretty cool. You can get some Apexis crystals, a chance of 645 or 655 gear. Awesome. Thumbs up on that. Next, we've got the relic quests. Again, brilliant. You've seen videos in these on my channel. And they're not a massive bit of content, you're done with them pretty quickly. but you sort of do like a little treasure hunting thing. It's a good bit of fun, and that can get you a Pexis crystals, or maybe, if you're lucky, 645 or 655 item tokens. So that's pretty okay. And then the final quest is a profession quest, which asks you to turn in trade skill reagents. I know that if you're a crafter, that will be exciting, but I think for the most people, you know, if you get the choice between doing a badass relic mission or handing in 50 leather, well, I know what most people will choose in terms of having a fun thing to do. So honestly, as far as I'm concerned, only 2 of these things are particularly new or exciting changes. Now yes, I will grant you that the profession changes and that profession trader that can appear on one of these days is cool. I think the profession changes are awesome. Again, I also think the garrison tweaks are really good, but they're the things that should have happened like a month after 6.0, and they're not content. They're fixing things that weren't very good, but is it really going to be a new thing for people to go out and engage in? No, I do not think so. So the next feature is that you can summon a raid or world boss at your garrison. Essentially, while you do one of the 5 daily quests that I talked about earlier, you can actually get a token, and this token can be used to summon in a boss, which is designed for 10 to 40 people. You fight it in your garrison. I think that's a really, really cool bit of content. So far, we've got the relic quests, the bounty quests, both of which are cool, and summoning in a raid boss once a week, which is pretty cool. But that's basically it as far as the content goes. So next, there's the garrison music box. Well, look, that's just already done via add-ons. If they disable the add-ons, by the way, real dick move. That's done by add-ons in a better way where you can make your own playlist and stuff like that. And, I mean, I just find it hard to think that that's particularly compelling. People will go out, grab a few tracks they like, and then they'll come back. Is that something that's new? You know, is it driving forward the story of Warlords of Draenor? No, it's not. It's just popping in like a little contrivancy thing. No, I just don't think that's a crazy amount of content, honestly. Now next is a new garrison vendor who will sell things for garrison resources, which in terms of gameplay, the main upshot of this is that you'll be able to do more Apexis dailies per day. No, that's not particularly fun either. So the next thing in the patch notes is a new follower trait for Treasure Hunter, which gives you more gold. Is that new content that you can go and do every day? No, it isn't. Garrison followers can be upgraded to 675. Sorry, that's not new content. And then they've added a bunch of new follower missions for the garrison. I'm sorry, look, it's always been my stance that having a few more missions in the garrison game is just not really content, because you don't go and do it on your character. It's just something that appears in the menu and you click on it, and it's, you know, it's sort of a delayed loot collection service that I don't think is particularly gratifying, to be honest with you. And plus, it's more just refining a little patch 6.0 thing. I don't think it's a new bit of truly engaging and exciting content. Next, they fixed up the UI of follower missions. Fine, but that's not new content. And after that, there's just a few tweaks to, you know, to professions and buildings, a few things like that, and then class balancing. Now, in terms of other things that are coming, they've added in an achievement for Peppy. That's okay. I mean, that's fine. They've added in the selfie camera. I find it hard to believe that many people are going to be truly excited by the selfie camera. It's not like you're going to be able to log in and think, today I'm going to just take selfies for hours, it'll be great. No, that's not really a thing, right? Oh wow, imagine a game where it's just all about hunting down new Instagram filters. That is a thing, by the way, you can get filters. Anyway, no, the selfie camera, not much of a bit of content. Now, the legendary quest is reaching a new stage, which is cool. It's content, it's story, yes. But it's going to be like 1 or 2 quests. You get your reward, which I'm not going to spoil here, and that'll be that. Not really a massive thing. And that's really it for patch 6.0, or 6.1. In terms of content that people are going to be able to log in and just do on their character, it's very sparse, in fact. And especially just in terms of content that is, not specifically to a niche audience like the selfie camera or something like that. Like the broad appeal content, right? What I would probably classified to be the most important stuff is just extremely weak. I mean, hell, because of the way that you only get 1 out of 5 of those daily quests per week, or sorry, per day in your garrison, it might be that you could just have a spree where you get loads of quests which are just kind of boring rehashes of old content and not new content. That's just going to suck. I'm sorry, but there's, you know, for a lot of people, you're going to log in after patch 6.1 comes out, and you're going to find really not that much else to do from what your patch 6.0 experience was. And from what I have heard from so many places, patch 6.0 is pretty weak. in terms of its sort of post 2 to 3 month appeal. Like, once people are actually done with upgrading their garrison, which, let's be honest, didn't take that long, it's kind of a little bit sparse. Frankly, like, if you're not a raider, or you're not a PvPer who's really interested in the class changes, I just don't think I could really recommend resubscribing for this patch. I mean, I'm a raider, so I'm going to have a lot of fun in Blackrock Foundry, but do remember, Blackrock Foundry is 6.0 content. Blizzard themselves have said so. It's just a continuation of Tier 16. It's not 6.1 content. So I'm just going to be playing through that and waiting for 6.2, but, I mean, for most people that are, you know, non-raiders, yeah, I don't think there's a terrible deal here. And if we compare this to past patches, especially past interim patches, most notably patch 5.1 and 5.3, I do think there's less content here. Now, 5.3 was definitely quite content sparse, yes, but it did add a lot of new systems and things like that. Is this doing that? No, it's adding in a few dailies and fixing the garrisons, which frankly were not that great because, you know, various problems, and fixing professions, but again, you shouldn't have broken them in the first place. I think the more apt comparison, though, is patch 5.1. Now, first, I do have to say, yes, patch 5.1 came too early. It came at a stage where more daily quests was the last thing that we needed. But if you look at the actual story content of patch 5.1, that was really compelling, and I was sort of hoping that whatever was going on in the Iron Docks would be the equivalent, or maybe even just a smaller version of what we had with Domination Point and Lion's Landing. So maybe we get a bit of story there, maybe we just get some stuff to do every day. But of course, that does not seem to be the case. Now, as I said at the start of the video, I'm not judging them based on the fact that the Iron Docks doesn't exist. I'm judging them based on the fact that what is going to be there is very sparse. So it's more that if the Iron Docks was there, there would be more content, and I think content is what this patch is sorely lacking in. Essentially, they're finishing off the Warlords of Draenor beta. That's what this patch is. I mean, if you look at those 5 daily quests, I think they would have been very, very good to have about a month after the expansion launched. A bit like patch 5.1, I suppose. It would have been nice to have those dailies there, because I think a bit of variety in the garrison content is what a lot of people would have liked. Because the core gameplay, like, you know, dynamics, I suppose, of, or aesthetics, whatever, I suppose aesthetics is the proper word, anyway, of say, doing dailies for Apexis and doing reputations are the same, right? You're still just grinding mobs. I think the key to good content design in a game like this is, yeah, you're always going to have the same core gameplay mechanics of killing shit. It's about how you wrap it. And everything was wrapped the same way, i.e. a raw grind. Fill up a progress bar, or fill up a slightly larger progress bar in the case of reps. 6.0 had a lot of that. These daily quests would have really helped to diversify that, but I just don't think they're enough to make or warrant their own patch. Absolutely not. Now, one thing as well, you are able to visit your friend's garrison to get more of these daily quests, so I suppose that's kind of nice. Though I think the raid boss is a weekly one, so you can't do that all the time. But I think just logistically that's a bit of a pain in the ass, really. I get that Blizzard want to try to foster more interaction and stuff like that, but I think this is a bit of a ham-fisted way to do it. One of the nice things about having a few daily quests to grind out, or maybe a story quest to go and do, is you can log in whatever time you want, you're relaxed, you don't really need to care about your friends or anything like that, and you can just hop off and do it. Well, in the case of most days in patch 6.1, you won't be able to do that. It's overall, I think, just very disappointing. Now, that's really enough talking about patch 6.1. TLDR, if you haven't noticed already, little bit disappointed by that. But I just want to mention a few things about the overall development of Warlords of Draenor and why I think this has happened. Because I think the word cut is probably the key word of Warlords of Draenor. Bladespire thingy was cut. The Temple of Caribor was cut. Tanan Jungle was cut. The heirloom thing was cut to this patch. Lots of little cuts and snips here and there, and honestly, judging by the fact that most of the Garrison campaign quests were just complete filler, I got to imagine some things there were cut, but again, I suppose that is a bit of a hypothetical. But yeah, it seems like there's been rampant production issues, despite the fact that Blizzard did say they increased the size of the team by 50%. You would have expected that to translate into more content. Now, my personal sort of hypothesis or whatever about that is that the extra team size is being used to work on the next expansion and future patches, perhaps even patches for that expansion. How do, you know, it's hypotheticals, again, it's guessing. But I'm just assuming that they're really focusing their resources forward into future stuff. And it feels like they're just leaving the current game right now behind a bit. And that's unfortunate. That's bad for the quality of the game, and I'm going to be very interested to see what the retention statistics are for patch 6.1 and what the next subscription number will be. I mean, yeah, at the end of 2014 it was 10 million. I wonder how many we'll lose, and I wonder how many we will have lost because patch 6.1 was just crap and people thought, well, why the hell am I subscribing for this? Yeah, overall it's a bit unfortunate. Hell, I feel bad for the people who thought the Tanan Jungle was coming out in patch 6.1. I mean, damn, you guys are really going to be disappointed. Well, hey, you know what? Maybe by the time patch 6.2 or 6.3 comes out, we'll actually have roughly what they said we'd get at BlizzCon in the game. Yeah, that was a bit of a low blow, but whatever. I think it's your fault for pissing me off, Blizzard. And last thing to say is, I think that, you know, I'm disappointed based on expectations that Blizzard themselves have set. Not via the random things they've said on Twitter that were dumb, but via the content that they've actually put in the game. They have done better than this in the past, and therefore players should expect better. We should expect more as time goes on. When a patch comes out, then there should be more reasons that are worthwhile for us to put our subscription money into the game. Do I think patch 6.1 delivers on that front? No, absolutely not. Anyway, that is it for this video. Sorry for it being a little bit of a downer. Let me know what your thoughts on this topic are down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.